I was arguing with my boyfriend in the elevator at work. I was speechless. You're more FING drama than he is. Leo froze, his defenses crumbling. There's someone else? Who is he? On impulse, I shot back, my boss. He's rich, handsome, super nurturing, has washboard abs and a perfect ass. He's better than you in every single way. A second later. From the corner of the elevator, my cool, aloof boss, who'd been staring at his phone the whole time, looked up at me. Super nurturing? What made it even worse was. Leo said, bro? It was the Monday morning rush hour. And I was in a screaming match with Leo in the company elevator. Mia, can you not have such a dirty mind? Sophie was drunk last night, I just took her home. Nothing happened. Leo ran his hands through his hair, his face a mask of irritation. It was so crowded I could barely move. I shifted my weight and let out a cold laugh. Nothing happened? She sent me pictures of you in her bed. Do you think I'm blind? Go on, ask anyone in here. Who are they more likely to believe? You, or the fact that I'm the Queen of England? The elevator car fell silent, the only sound our two voices. It was almost 9 a.m. The elevator kept going up and down, but weirdly, nobody was getting off. It was pouring rain yesterday. I couldn't leave, so I crashed at Sophie's for the night. Do you always have to assume the worst in people? Sophie's not like that. What has she ever done to you? I'll apologize on her behalf, okay? She only sent you the photo because I'm your boyfriend. It was just to let you know where I was. Stop being so paranoid all the time. If you keep this up, you're going to make something out of nothing, and then you'll really have something to cry about. Leo rubbed his temples, looking completely fed up. I was so angry I had to laugh. You know what they say, I said through gritted teeth, shameless people are invincible. And just like that, he'd twisted it all around to be my fault. The elevator went up and down a few more times before people finally started getting off. The empty spaces were immediately filled by an even bigger crowd. I was squeezed into a corner and almost lost my footing. Thankfully, at the last second, someone steadied me. Are you okay? The voice was cool and pleasant. It sounded a little familiar, but I couldn't place it. I didn't think much of it, just mumbled a thanks and went back to my fight with Leo. But that little stumble had thrown me off my game. And that scumbag Leo seized the opportunity to keep running his mouth. Can you please just be reasonable? What do you want me to do if you don't believe me? You're always starting fights over nothing. I've spoiled you too much. You have zero tolerance for anyone. What's going to happen when we're married? And even though you're a princess, my family is just as well off as yours. I'm a guy, I'm going to have to go to networking dinners and schmooze. Are you going to die of jealousy every time? Shit. What a load of absolute crap. My anger short-circuited all rational thought about complex social dynamics. I had only one thought. I was going to win. Leo, whoever marries your ass is a real dog. A smug, nasty grin spread across his face. Don't forget our families want us to get married. Are you sure you want to talk about yourself like that? I sneered. Arrangements can be broken. You're such a drama queen, more trouble than he is. Whoever wants you can have you. Leo's face went stiff. A second later, he shrieked. What do you mean? Who else is there? Who's he? You've got another dog on the side? I let out a cold snort. What, you really thought I couldn't live without you? A man with no self-respect is just spoiled goods. What would I want with spoiled goods like you? You don't know what you've got, till it's gone, and I didn't know how good he was until I saw how pathetic you are. Leo pointed at me, his face a mixture of purple and green. You were two-timing me. You cheated on me and now you're trying to pin the blame on me. Who's the other guy? Who the hell dared to steal my girl? I'm gonna tear him apart. Leo's eyes were red as he glared at me. Seeing him so upset sent a wave of pure, unadulterated bliss straight to my soul. Sweet victory. Oh, you can't compare to him. I looked at Leo with an expression that was 3 parts mockery and 7 parts contempt. He's my boss. A prodigy who became a rising star in the business world while he was still young. He's rich, handsome, super nurturing, has washboard abs and a perfect ass. He's 100, 1,000, 1,000,000 times better than you. The man built a business empire all by himself. He was nothing like a lazy, entitled trust fund kid like Leo. I had to show him what a real man looked like, stop him from strutting around like a puffed up, delusional rooster all day. Leo just stood there, stunned. Suddenly, that cool voice spoke up again from behind me. I just have one question. Super nurturing? I spun around, annoyed. If you don't even know what super nurturing is, it's just. My voice died when I saw his face. Does anyone understand the feeling of pure helplessness when you're caught making up rumors about your boss and he's standing right behind you? What made it even worse was. Leo said, "Bro? Let the world end. I'm so tired." My boss is Leo's brother? Leo has a brother? My head was spinning. Then I remembered. When we were about 5 or 6, our families used to visit each other all the time. I did remember a very handsome older boy, but he went abroad just a few years later. All these years had passed. And his last name was different. Julian had taken his mother's surname. How was I supposed to recognize him? Before I could process it all, Leo was pointing an accusing finger at me. "Bro, what's going on between you and Mia?" Well. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead. My guilt was palpable. If Leo found out I'd lied just to save face, my social life would be over. To avoid becoming a total laughingstock, I took a deep breath and turned to Julian with a sickeningly sweet smile. "Sweetheart, fancy meeting you here. This must be fate, bringing us together in this elevator." Risking complete and utter annihilation, I gently tugged on the corner of Julian's jacket, swaying back and forth as I cooed in a syrupy voice. I looked up at him, my eyes pleading. "Please, for the love of God, don't expose me." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the other people in the elevator visibly shudder. Julian looked down at me, his gaze deep and silent. After a long moment, he finally turned to Leo. "It's exactly what it looks like." The elevator finally reached the top floor. Julian stepped out first with his long legs. I scrambled to follow him. Leo was still squawking behind us in a powerless rage. "Julian, what the hell does that mean? What it looks like? What does that even look like? Are you really with Mia? You're stealing your own brother's girlfriend? I'm telling Mom and Dad." "Mia, I don't believe you for a second. You think my brother would ever be into you? That's hilarious. You can't fool me. Get back here." I stopped and rolled my eyes. Whether your brother's into me or not is beside the point. The point is, I'm not that into you anymore. I mean, once you've seen a phoenix, who'd want a pigeon? I'm sure that breaking up with you will be the single best decision I ever make in my entire life. I deserve better. Leo ground his teeth, his face turning the color of liver. You're shameless." Julian suddenly stopped and looked back at him, his expression blank. "Leo, if you've got this much time on your hands, I'll talk to Dad about you joining the company sooner." Leo's face went white, as if he'd just heard the most terrifying thing in the world. He turned and practically sprinted away. Even though I'd only been with Leo for 2 years, I knew him well. He was a dog who refused to be leashed, and his greatest fear was being tied down to the family business. Every day with him was about eating, drinking, and having fun. We never did anything productive. After all, if the sky fell, his big brother would be there to hold it up. But still. Thinking about what just happened, I looked at Julian's expressionless face. My knees went weak, and I practically slid into a bow. Mr. Cole, I am so sorry. Everything I said back there was just nonsense to piss Leo off. Please don't take any of it to heart. I swear, not a word of what happened today will get out. It's fine. Julian said it without even looking up. He was dressed simply. A well-tailored, custom black suit made him look tall and sharp. He was like a bottle of ice-cold soda on a scorching summer day, a welcome relief from the sweltering heat. Mia. Julian suddenly said my name. I snapped back to reality and realized I'd been staring at him for way too long. My face instantly flushed. Is there something else, Mr. Cole? I forced a stiff smile. No matter what, Julian was still my boss. No employee wants to hang out with their boss. Not even a handsome one. Just call me Julian. Huh? I froze, then said without thinking, I don't think that's a good idea. You used to call me Big Brother, you know. He said it with a strange hint of grievance. Wait, what? Bro, you're kind of breaking character here. Also, what does super nurturing mean? Julian stared at me, his obsidian eyes filled with a thirst for knowledge. What a sudden change of topic. And how incredibly awkward. I choked on my own spit and started coughing violently. Julian, not expecting such a strong reaction, quickly grabbed the water cup from his desk and handed it to me. I took several large gulps. Then I realized something was off. Sorry, that's my cup. I wasn't thinking. Whatever. After the day I'd had, what was one more thing? I wiped my mouth and said coolly, it was sweet. The words were out before I could stop them. I sucked in a sharp breath and scrambled to explain. No, I didn't mean it like that, boss, let me explain. It's fine. A smile touched Julian's voice. My face felt hot and flushed. Did he think I was hitting on him? I quickly changed the subject. Being super nurturing means you're a boss who is patient, emotionally stable, and provides his subordinates with a sense of home-like care. It's the highest form of praise for a man. I forced myself to stay calm. Julian pondered this for a moment, then asked, then what about washboard abs and a perfect ass? Could you please not be so eager to learn right now? Julian seemed to be lost in thought, then had a sudden epiphany. I see. So that's what you like. Just kill me now. I stumbled out of Julian's office, my heart still pounding. I immediately went to my computer and started typing my resignation letter. Leo was my ex-boyfriend, Julian was his brother, and I had just spread a bunch of rumors about him and flirted with him. There was no way I could keep working here. It was time to go back home and inherit the family fortune. I was young and reckless before, blind to the beauty of unearned wealth. Now, I was ready to embrace a life of leisure. Dignity? Pride? All fleeting clouds. I immediately opened my DMs with the tech guru to apologize. My major in college was artificial intelligence. I'd stumbled across one of his videos online, found it fascinating, and followed him. We would occasionally chat about industry topics, and over time, we got to know each other. When he heard I was looking for an internship, he recommended me for this place. I'd been here less than 2 weeks, and leaving so soon felt wrong. I had to let him know. But when I opened his profile, I froze. The videos of him in a business suit, giving serious, educational talks, were gone. In their place was a video bathed in dim, purplish red light, with slow, lyrical jazz playing in the background. In the center of the video, a shirtless god was showing off his physique to the beat of the music. Biceps, full pecs, AV taper waist, a perfect ass. I jumped, quickly looking around at my coworkers. Luckily, no one had noticed me watching thirst traps at work. Thinking I'd clicked on the wrong thing, I went back to his profile page. It was his avatar, all right. Wait. The nerdy tech guru had rebranded as a thirst trap god? He just went for it? I quickly sent him a DM. Bro, are you done with the educational content? Is it really that hard to make a living doing that? He replied almost instantly. Yeah, it is. I sighed. A brilliant mind resorting to thirst traps to make a living. Whose fault was this? Where's the morality? Where's the decency? Where's the link? But I had to hand it to him. The guy excelled at everything he did. Feeling bad for him, I tipped him a few grand. Thanks. Then he asked, "Do you like it?" I replied almost without hesitation. "Love it. Hee hee. If you pulled your pants down just a little lower, it'd be perfect. I'm a total sucker for a nurturing man." Glad you like it. By the way, I think I might have to quit. I suddenly remembered my reason for messaging him. I saw the typing bubble appear on his end. A full 5 minutes passed before he replied. What happened? I told him the whole story of what had happened today. Another long typing. Pause. Was this really that hard of a question to answer? He replied, "But if you leave now, won't your ex-brother find out that you and his brother aren't really a thing?" I stared at that line for a long moment, and then it hit me. Oh, right. That was close. That scumbag Leo would definitely be watching me. If I left now, he'd know everything. I suppressed the urge to quit. I was willing to do anything that would make Leo miserable. What was a little embarrassment? Okay, it was a lot. I started deliberately avoiding Julian. But he seemed to be everywhere. I'd see him in the break room making coffee, bump into him on my way to the restroom, and even run into him when I was hiding in the stairwell to slack off. How could a boss have this much free time? It's gonna be the death of me. What if the company goes bankrupt? I was about to lose my mind when, at my breaking point, the workday finally ended. I immediately made plans with my girls to hit a bar and vent. When I got there, though, why were Leo and Sophie here too? Oh, right. I forgot I hadn't told my friends we'd broken up. Leo looked miserable, hunched over and nursing a drink. Sophie was next to him, softly telling him to drink less. My friends exchanged confused glances, unsure of what was going on. I immediately turned to leave. Leo didn't have many good qualities, but his eyesight was sharp. Well, if it isn't Princess Mia. What's wrong? Did my brother dump you? Now you're chasing me all the way here, begging me to take you back? Leo sat up, a mocking look in his eyes. He was instantly back to his old self, nothing like the pathetic lump he'd been a moment ago. The jerk. He really loved to see me squirm. I rolled my eyes. I suggest you shake your brain until it's evenly mixed before you talk to me. My dear Julian is a very busy man, not like some people who have nothing better to do than wander around. Who are you calling, some people? If the shoe fits. Leo was furious. Mia, who besides me could put up with your terrible temper? My brother has tons of girls like you around him. No matter how hard you try to climb that ladder, it's useless. So what? At least I'm not with you. You think my brother actually likes you? So what? At least I'm not with you. I've never seen my brother with any woman. Maybe he's into guys. Who knows what his motive is for being with you? So what? At least I'm not with you. Mia. Leo's face was ashen as he started to get up and walk toward me. Sophie stood up before he did, blocking the path between us. Please, stop fighting over me. She looked at me, her face full of guilt and sorrow. Mia, there's really nothing going on between Leo and me. Last night was truly just an accident. We just have dinner sometimes, maybe a few drinks, and play games together. We're just really good friends, but it's absolutely not what you think. She was laying the innocent friend act on thick. My gaze shifted from Leo to Sophie. Excuse me, miss? Who was even talking about you? Could you be any more self-absorbed? Your acting is pretty good, you could be an actress. It's just a shame about your face. Why do you always have to hang around other people's boyfriends? Are you that desperate for attention? After meeting you, I finally understand what a two-faced bitch looks like in real life. Sophie's face froze, and her huge, bulbous eyes quickly filled with tears. How? How can you talk like that? It's so rude. I let my lips and eyelids droop, mimicking her whiny tone. So rude. Sophie's face turned red, then white, and then she burst into tears. I'm so sorry, Leo. I've caused you so much trouble. Then she turned and ran out. Nice try, sweetie. You can't win against me, you pathetic little snake. Mia, that's enough. Sophie didn't do anything, why are you being so petty? Doesn't your family have any manners? Go and apologize to her. Leo glared at me, his voice sharp. You watch your mouth. My best friend, Chloe, stepped in front of me. My heart warmed, and I patted her on the shoulder. It's okay, Mom can handle this. Chloe, who had been worried, rolled her eyes at that and sat back down, muttering under her breath. Everyone else was just staring, too scared to move. I cleared my throat. Was I wrong? I haven't even billed you two for emotional damages yet. Leo lost it again. You cheated on me with my brother, and you have the nerve to blame me? What does he have that I don't? Can he take you street racing? Can he carry you to the top ranks in a video game? You threw away a diamond for a rock. You'll regret it when you can't rank up without me. I looked at him like he was the biggest moron on the planet. Leo, how old are you? You're almost 30, right? Instead of focusing on your career, you're still playing games and street racing? What a waste. I'm only into mature, successful men now. I must have been out of my mind to have ever liked a good-for-nothing idiot like you. My words were like poison darts, and they hit their mark. Leo's face went pale, and he pointed a trembling finger at me, looking like he was about to have a heart attack. You'll be a lonely wife with a boring guy like my brother who doesn't know how to treat a woman. Leo's eyes were red, and he spoke through gritted teeth. You're too young, you don't know how to pick a man. You're easily fooled by older guys. Someone like me is the better choice. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Even though Julian was a few years older than us, his excellence spoke for itself. When we were kids, he was always the perfect child everyone's parents compared them to. He could think through problems we hadn't even considered and come up with multiple solutions. Even after he went abroad, I'd still hear people talk about him all the time. His name was a legend throughout our childhood, and even now, our parents used him as the gold standard to whip us into shape. And now Leo was claiming Julian couldn't compare to him. Leo, are you jealous of your brother? If we're talking about who has a thicker skin, I'll admit, Julian can't beat you. Julian isn't old, he actually looks a few years younger than you. Not only that, Julian is taller than you, more handsome, has a better body, and is more capable. From a macro perspective, he's a work of art. From a micro perspective, he's perfect down to the last strand of his hair. I've had a crush on him since we were kids, and you were just a substitute to get me through my pining for him. There's absolutely no comparison. Besides all the superficial stuff, you can't even match his sophistication. So tell me, would I have to be crazy to choose you over him? Can you please get a little self-awareness? I stood with my hands on my hips, eyebrows arched, and unleashed all my pent-up frustration on Leo. When I was done, I turned to my dumbstruck friends. Am I right or am I right? My friends just nodded silently. Leo's expression was blank, as if his soul was ascending to a higher plane. His pointing hand trembled, and for a long moment, he couldn't say a single word. The more I talked, the angrier I got. The thought that I'd spent 2 years with this absolute moron felt like I'd been chewed on by a pig. My fury only fueled my fighting spirit. You don't actually think you're so great that I can't live without you, do you? No way, right? Talk about a big ego. It's like a dung beetle yawning, a whole lot of hot air. They say everyone needs a mirror to see what they really are. It's a shame you don't have one. You're such a poser. How dare you even compare yourself to Julian? He's the moon in the sky, and you're the gutter it shines on. You should be ashamed, but instead, you're full of yourself. Someone as amazing as me is destined to be with a treasure like Julian. We're a match made in heaven. I can't even fall asleep at night without holding him and doing all sorts of things to him. You think I have time to think about you? Maybe you'll even have to call me sis one day, little bro. Leo's hand stopped shaking. He looked dazed. He looked like his soul had left his body. I let out a cold snort, gave Chloe a look, and, like a victorious warrior, turned to leave with my head held high. Suddenly, I stopped in my tracks. My eyes met Julian's at the entrance. The top 2 buttons of his shirt were undone, revealing his elegant collarbones. He looked both sexy and casual. The slightly surprised look on his face only added to his charm. The air was dead silent. No, seriously, how does someone get caught spreading rumors by the person himself twice in a row? Brother, let me wait, no, let me lie some more. Chloe silently raised her hand. Sorry about that. I saw you guys were really going at it, and I was afraid something might happen, so I called boss Julian over. You guys can continue, hee hee. I suspect Chloe was getting revenge for me calling myself her mom earlier. So, boss Julian, are you and Mia actually together? One of the spectators, a close friend of Leo's, asked with a gossip-hungry look on his face. I shot him a death glare. My hands, hanging by my sides, were clenched into tight fists. Sweat beaded on my forehead. I felt so guilty I couldn't even look at Julian. I'd been spreading all these rumors about him. He must be furious, right? Was he going to expose me right here and now? Julian's gaze fell heavily on me, then shifted to the friend who had asked the question. I squeezed my eyes shut, ready to apologize. We are. His cool voice cut in before I could speak. I looked at Julian in shock. He continued, I'm here to take her home. Are you even my real brother? Leo's face cracked as he stared at our retreating backs. I'm so sorry, Mr. Cole. I've caused you more trouble. I promise I'll clear up our relationship status. I held up 2 fingers in a vow. I had planned to explain everything to my friends in private, but I never expected Julian to show up. It's fine, he said. I froze. How could it be fine? Wouldn't anyone be annoyed if people were spreading rumors that they were dating someone they barely knew? Julian kept his eyes on the road and continued, You don't have to be so formal with me. Just call me Julian. We stopped at a red light. Julian turned to look at me, half of his face cloaked in shadow. I blinked, and my face immediately grew hot. I even started to stammer. I don't think that's a good idea. Julian had no reason to be this nice to me. I suddenly heard my heart pounding like a drum. Could it be that he liked me? This is actually good for me, too. Huh? Julian lowered his gaze and said softly, Leo's had it too easy his whole life. It's rare for him to stumble like this. I want to toughen him up a bit, let him know that people can be unpredictable, and get him into the company to help out sooner. And second, having a girlfriend helps me ward off a lot of trouble. I nodded numbly. So that's what it was. He was using me as a shield against unwanted attention. Hearing him say that suddenly made me feel a lot better about spreading those rumors. Not really. Good thing I didn't get ahead of myself and think Julian actually liked me. The next day, Leo spammed me with a ton of messages on WhatsApp. Mia, you think you dumped me? I dumped you. Since you're so suspicious of me and Sophie, I might as well make your suspicions a reality instead of letting you accuse me for no reason. We're together now. You can eat your heart out. He attached a photo of them holding hands. I pursed my lips and replied. Literally no one cares. Then I muted the chat. Right after that, Sophie posted on her feed. It was the same picture of them holding hands. The caption read, What's yours will always be yours. No one can take it away. I rolled my eyes. Even though I didn't care about Leo anymore, I still had to set the record straight about who the real homewrecker was. I commented, "Congrats on your promotion from side piece to main." Then I blocked her and left for work. When I opened my front door, I found Julian already waiting outside. The car window was rolled down. His shirt collar was casually open, and his bangs fell across his forehead, making him look less intimidating than usual, more like the boy next door. For some reason, my heart started to flutter, and my words came out jumbled. Julian, what are you doing here?" "Picking you up for work." Julian opened the car door, his long, straight legs stepping out. He walked toward me holding a bouquet of flowers. The soft morning light created a halo around him, making him look like a prince. His warm, gentle smile made my heart race. My brain was about to short-circuit. I took the flowers automatically. Even if we're just pretending to be a couple, we have to make it look convincing. That one sentence popped my pink bubble. I snapped back to reality and patted my chest. "Oh, good. That scared me." I almost thought Julian was actually into me. Julian glanced at me, and his eyes suddenly darkened. "Do you hate me?" His voice was low, barely audible, with a faint, lingering sense of hurt. I realized my reaction must have been a bit over the top. It probably looked like I was disgusted by him. I quickly explained, "No, I don't hate you at all. I just got the wrong idea. I almost thought you liked me." Julian was silent for a moment. "It's okay if you got the wrong idea." I just assumed he was trying to comfort me. "No, that's not okay. You're Leo's brother. I've always seen you as an elder. I swear I have absolutely no improper thoughts about you." Even though Julian was only 5 years older than me, he was so mature and capable that no one, including me, had ever considered him a peer. If there was something between us, it would feel a little incestuous. Julian's face darkened, and he turned away, giving me only his handsome profile. For some reason, I felt like he was angry. "Mia, I'm not your brother. We're not related by blood. And I'm only 5 years older than you. We're peers. Please stop thinking of me as being so old, okay?" I stared at him, then nodded sheepishly. When Julian said he wasn't my brother, he was reminding me to be mindful of my status and not to get too familiar with him. He was still bothered by the fact that I'd made up rumors about him. "I understand," I whispered. "Good." A small smile played on Julian's lips. He seemed to be in a much better mood. For the next few days, the news that Julian and I were commuting together spread like wildfire through the office. Although no one said it out loud, Julian's double standards made everyone assume we were a couple. For example, when other colleagues made a mistake, he would chew them out, but with me, he'd just give a gentle slap on the wrist. There was always a fresh bouquet of flowers on my desk. I started going to Julian's office more and more often, and every time I left, I'd receive a little surprise. Sometimes it was a small dessert or a coffee, other times, it was a beautiful little trinket. This blatant favoritism did manage to scare off some of Julian's more persistent admirers. But I was about to lose my mind. It was one thing for Julian to act this way in front of others, but why was he still acting when we were alone? Even when it was just the two of us in his office, he'd look at me with those eyes that could make a dog feel cherished. He even called me into the bathroom while he was showering, with no hesitation at all. So indecent. How was a hot-blooded woman in her 20s supposed to resist? I stood awkwardly outside the bathroom door. The door suddenly opened, and a cloud of warm steam billowed out. Julian emerged, wearing nothing but a towel around his waist. Broad shoulders, a narrow waist, long legs, he just strolled out like it was nothing. "Did you need a signature?" I was too stunned to answer. None of the shirtless gods I followed on my phone could compare to the man in front of me. Oh, wait. The tech guru could. It was a toss-up. If they both pursued me, it would be such a hard choice. Julian looked at the file in my hand and bent down to take it. The muscles in his waist and abdomen tensed with the movement, making his abs even more defined and chiseled. I suddenly let out a silly giggle. My nose tickled, and a warm stream of liquid suddenly flowed out. Mia! Julian's exclamation snapped me out of it. Before I could react, he strode over to me, knelt down, and started wiping my face with a tissue. My gaze slowly drifted down to the bright red on the tissue, and my cheeks flushed. Julian, I swear I have no improper thoughts about you. I'm just a little overheated. Julian's eyes darkened, and he let out a soft laugh. Little pervert. It's okay even if you do have improper thoughts. Ah. What did he mean by that? Was he trying to seduce me? Is he testing my resolve with this? Does he want me to die? By the time I left his office, blushing furiously, an hour had passed. My department manager, Cynthia, looked at me and said sarcastically, "Some people have only been at the company for a short time and have already latched onto the CEO. I wonder what kind of dirty tricks they used." The others looked like they were working diligently, but the sound of their typing had unanimously slowed down. It was a blatant attack, and I wasn't about to let it slide. I shot back, unlike some people, who can't even get his attention with their foxy little tricks. "Who are you calling useless?" Cynthia, who had just been making snide remarks, was now openly furious. She had been with the company since its startup days and was one of the old guard. She used her seniority to bully those with less experience and couldn't stand being contradicted. "If the shoe fits," I said, calmly sitting down. She was furious, but there was nothing she could do to me. She just glared at me and muttered, "Just you wait." Leo and Sophie were officially together. They were attached at the hip, traveling all over the world. How did I know? Because that jerk Leo couldn't stand being ignored and wanted to show his ex how great his life was now. Every day, he'd send me either scenic travel photos or big-headed selfies of him and Sophie, flaunting their love. "Mia, you regret it now, don't you? This spot next to me could have been yours. You have only yourself to blame for being so difficult and pushing me away. When I left for good. But if you get on your knees and beg, I might consider taking you back. I've asked around. You and my brother aren't even together. His friends all say they've never seen him with any woman. I've never seen my brother like anyone in my entire life. Maybe he really doesn't like women. I suggest you wake up and apologize to me now. I might still forgive you and take you back." I replied with a blank expression, "Get lost." Then I blocked both Leo and Sophie. Work was already annoying enough without having to watch this drama king and queen. I grabbed a file and headed to Julian's office. After the nosebleed incident, I was hesitant to see Julian alone. The man was a total siren. Maybe he didn't mean to, but he often made me feel like he was trying to seduce me. Afraid something might happen, I'd started waiting until I had a large stack of documents to get signed all at once. When I got to his office, I noticed the door was slightly ajar. I didn't think much of it and pushed it open. And there I saw Cynthia, handing Julian a hot cup of coffee. Then, her body suddenly lurched, and the coffee in her hands spilled all over Julian. A large brown stain immediately spread across his pristine white shirt. "Oh, Mr. Cole, I didn't do it on purpose. Are you okay? Let me help you clean that up." Cynthia reached out to touch his chest. Julian frowned and dodged her, his gaze as sharp as ice. "Get out." I stood frozen in the doorway, not sure whether to enter or retreat. "Mia, Mr. Cole told you to get out. Didn't you hear him?" Cynthia turned and barked at me. Julian laughed, but it was a humorless sound. "I was talking to you. Get out." Cynthia's face fell. "But the coffee is hot. Mr. Cole, you should take off your shirt so I can see if you're burned. Get out. Don't make me say it a fourth time." This was the first time I'd ever seen Julian so angry. In my memory, he was always composed and rarely showed his emotions. Cynthia scurried out, shooting me a hateful glare as she passed. I started to follow her out, but Julian stopped me. "Help me with the ointment." When I came to my senses, Julian had already taken off his shirt. There was a red patch on his chest, and a small area of skin was already peeling. It added a touch of broken beauty to his otherwise perfect physique. I knelt in front of Julian, applying ointment to the burn. It was about the size of a finger. If it wasn't treated properly, it would probably leave a scar. I was completely focused, not noticing that Julian was looking down at me with a strange light in his eyes. I looked up, about to warn him that the disinfectant might sting a little. His soft lips unexpectedly brushed against my cheek. A jolt of electricity shot through me, and my body trembled uncontrollably. An intimate tension quickly grew, filling the air between us. My breathing became ragged, and I quickly looked down, pretending nothing had happened. Julian's eyes darkened, and he said in a low, husky voice, "Keep going." His words were like a feather, tickling my heart. My face turned beet red. My hand trembled, and I heard him let out a soft grunt. Does it hurt a lot?" I had no idea why applying a little ointment could be so nerve-wracking. "It hurts." The corners of Julian's eyes were red, and he panted softly. His gaze was tinged with a hint of vulnerability, and his eyes seemed to glisten with unshed tears. Faced with such a temptation, I'd have to slap myself awake in the middle of the night to keep from pouncing. I'll be gentler." Julian's muscles tensed. As I worked, he tilted his head back, his Adam's apple bobbing rapidly. A bead of sweat trickled down from his chin, following the valley of his muscles all the way down. The sight made me blush. That single, annoying bead of sweat on his abs was unbearably tantalizing. When Julian wasn't looking, I snuck out a fingertip and secretly wiped it away. Then I pretended it was an accident. He let out another soft grunt, and his expression turned meaningful. The next day, I saw on the company bulletin board that Cynthia had been transferred to a branch office. This had to be Julian's doing. During my time with him, I'd learned that he was ruthless with people he disliked. This was him being lenient, considering she was a long-time employee. The tech guru also posted a new video. His beautiful muscles were still enough to make my blood boil. Today, for some reason, he had a band-aid on his chest, giving him a very appealing battle-damaged look. I let out a low whistle and sent him a DM. "The band-aid on your chest is a major plus." He replied quickly. "Burned myself by accident." My boss burned himself in the same spot. What a coincidence, ha ha ha. Is that so? What a coincidence indeed. Reading his reply, my wide grin instantly vanished. A wave of suspicion washed over me. It's not a common place to get burned. Was it a coincidence? Or was the tech guru actually Julian? Their bodies were pretty similar too. I quickly closed the chat window and stared at the ceiling, dazed. But I quickly dismissed the idea. Julian was part of the wealthy Harrison family, accustomed to a life of luxury since birth. I'd been following the tech guru for a long time. He'd had a tough life and had apparently worked his way through college. How could they be the same person? And Julian would never stoop to posting thirst traps online. He had no reason to. With that thought, my heart settled down. And once my heart was settled, the flirty comments came pouring out. I sent the guru a picture of a chest harness. "Master, feed me, I'm hungry, I want to see." The guru replied, "One." I could have cried. I suddenly felt like I was corrupting an innocent man. But it was also kind of thrilling, like I was saving a damsel in distress. No wonder men throughout history have always loved reforming fallen women. It feels amazing. Ever since the tech guru started posting thirst traps, he didn't seem so distant and unattainable anymore. He felt more like a friend I could talk to about anything. So, I started complaining to him whenever I had the chance. I wish there was a fruit stand in the office. I can't eat fruit whenever I want, and my skin feels so rough. I'm craving authentic Ryojo snail noodles. My whole body is sore after a long day of work. I wish the company had massage chairs. Half a month later, the company suddenly announced that they had leased the building next door. It would have a fruit shop, various restaurants, dessert shops, and a massage parlor, all free for employees. I was so shocked I had to tell the tech guru about it. He said, "Glad you like it." A strange feeling washed over me. The signs had been there all along, but I hadn't wanted to think about them. The burn in the same spot, the fact that all my wishes were coming true, and the fact that the tech guru had been the one to recommend me to this company. Even though I'd told myself it was impossible, the identities of Julian and the tech guru were slowly merging in my mind. Just then, he updated with a new video. The shirtless god was wearing a sexy chest harness, his body swaying to the music. It should have been a blood-pumping sight, but this time, I felt an inexplicable sense of shame. Because that person was Julian. My serious, unsmiling CEO. After discovering Julian was the thirst trap guru, I didn't dare let on that I knew. I was afraid he'd silence me. But that's just how the world works. The more you don't want something to happen, the more likely it is to happen. The next time I went to Julian's office to deliver a file, I accidentally knocked over a box that was sitting next to his desk. The box fell to the floor, revealing the very chest harness I had recommended to the guru. I scrambled to pick it up, and as I was trying to put it back, I looked up and met Julian's eyes as he walked through the door. He stared at the thing in my hand, silent. I let out a dry laugh and stammered, I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't know you had this kind of hobby. And I didn't know you were the thirst trap guru. I don't know anything. I shoved the harness back into the box and made a run for it. I was almost out the door when I was suddenly yanked back and fell into Julian's arms. At the same time, the office door slammed shut with a bang. I panicked. "Mia, don't hide from me." My ears tingled. What? What are you doing? You already know who I am, don't you? Julian glanced at the box on the desk. I didn't mean to find out. It's okay. I let you find out on purpose. Because I like you, Mia. I was your childhood friend too, but why could you only see Leo? He said it with such genuine hurt. I was stunned. When we were kids, Julian was like the principal to us, the cat to our Tom and Jerry antics. He was so imposing that we never dared to mess with him. I always thought he saw us as childish and boring. I couldn't understand how he could possibly like me. But thinking back, he was only 5 or 6 years older than us. Do you hate me? Julian pulled me back a little, looking down at me and not letting me retreat. No. Julian was like one of heaven's favorites. He was perfect in every way, from his family background to his looks and abilities. I had just never considered the possibility of being with him. I was too ordinary. Then please don't reject me so quickly, okay? My cheeks burned. My mind was screaming at me to say no, but my body was honest. I couldn't help but want to be closer to him. In the end, I forgot what I said. I think I asked Julian to give me some time to think. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. My rationality slowly returned. No matter how you sliced it, Julian was Leo's brother. The Sue and Harrison families were close. If I broke up with Leo and then got with his brother, wouldn't it be incredibly awkward for everyone? And who knows what people would say if it got out? The crucial point was, if I got tired of him one day, getting away from someone like Julian wouldn't be easy. It was better to just forget it. After 2 days of deliberation, I decided to quit. I wrote a resignation letter and sent it to Julian. I got no reply. The next day, I went back to the company to handle the transition in person, but Julian didn't come to the office for several days. It was like he had just vanished. As time went on, a sense of panic began to creep in. I started to imagine all sorts of terrible things that might have happened to him, why he would just disappear without a word. Just as I was about to lose my mind, his executive assistant appeared. He handed me a stack of documents and said solemnly, "Mia, could you take these to the president? He's not able to see anyone else right now." My heart skipped a beat. Had Julian tried to do something drastic after I rejected him? What happened to the president? I asked quickly. You'll see when you get there. The assistant was all business. I took the stack of files and, with unsteady steps, made my way to Julian's home. It wasn't until the door opened and I saw him that the knot in my stomach finally loosened. Julian had dark circles under his eyes, and his face was flushed with a feverish glow. He was wearing light gray pajamas, and his hair was a mess, like he'd just gotten out of bed. My heart immediately clenched again. His eyes lit up when he saw me, then just as quickly dimmed. What are you doing here? Where's my assistant? I came to drop off these files. Come in. Julian turned and sat down on the sofa, closing his eyes to rest. I quietly placed the files on the table and hesitated for a moment before asking, "What's wrong?" "Just a fever. I'll be fine in a couple of days." Probably because he was sick, his voice was slightly hoarse, carrying a vulnerability that was rarely seen. My face flushed, and I quickly said, "If there's nothing else, I should go." "You get some rest." As I turned to leave, my wrist was suddenly grabbed. I lost my balance and fell into Julian's arms. I scrambled to get up. "Don't move, okay?" Julian suddenly buried his head in the crook of my neck. "Stay with me. Let me just hold you for a bit." His voice was a soft, intimate murmur that wrapped around my ears and burrowed into my heart. He was like a small animal that trusted you completely, showing you its soft belly for you to pet. I knew my face had to be beet red. But Julian kept pushing. Unbeknownst to me, 2 buttons on his collar had popped open. The collar slid to one side, revealing a half-moon of smooth, full chest muscle. My nose tickled. Afraid of another nosebleed, I quickly covered my face with my hands. But he gently took my hand and pressed it against his chest. The skin beneath my fingers was hot and smooth, yet firm. I slowly moved my hand down from his pecs to his abs. My vision blurred, and my sanity was hanging by a thread. Julian let out a low chuckle and leaned in, his voice a seductive whisper. "Don't reject me. I'll let only you touch. Let you play. Okay?" By this point, all I could do was giggle like an idiot. Forget just dating him, he could have my life. I pulled him down and crashed my lips against the mouth that had been tempting me for so long. The sound of wet kisses filled the room as the temperature soared. When I came to my senses, we had somehow ended up on the bed, our clothes hanging off us like wilted lettuce. It was clear we'd just been through an intense entanglement. Thinking about what had just happened, I shot up in embarrassment. I was about to make a run for it. But Julian held me down and pulled me back. "Don't mess around. Sleep with me." I was shocked. "You're still sick, and you're already thinking about that? You're disgusting." "Julian." He let out a snort of laughter. "You naughty girl, so impatient." When I said, "sleep," I meant just sleep. What did you think I meant? It was me. I was the dirty one. I have sullied your pure soul. I stared at the ceiling, feeling utterly defeated. This whole thing felt like an elaborate honey trap set just for me. Julian, that shameless man, had used his beauty against me. And my willpower was so weak that the moment I saw his abs, I folded completely. What else could I do? Julian and I were together now. Then I suddenly remembered him asking me to pretend to be his girlfriend. I reached out and pinched his cheek. "You were planning this all along, weren't you?" "I was," Julian admitted honestly. He said he was afraid I wouldn't accept him, so he used it as an excuse to get closer to me slowly. But then he realized that if he didn't push forward, would just retreat, so he decided to just go for broke. We agreed to keep our relationship a secret from our friends and family for now. The reason was that I wasn't sure how long this would last. If we broke up after a short time and both our families were involved, it would be a complete mess. Julian's face darkened, and he turned his head away, not saying a word. Even the little cowlick on his head seemed angry. I had to coax him for a while, which led to another heart-pounding, face-flushing session, before he finally forgave me. After that, I still resigned from the company. It was ironic. When we were faking it, I wanted everyone to think we were real. Now that we were real, we were hiding it. Even going on a date meant finding places where we wouldn't run into anyone we knew. On Julian's birthday, we went to a newly built mountain resort in the next city over. I planned to make my move on him that day. But before I could pounce, we were in the hot springs when we came face to face with our dear parents. And Leo. At that moment, Julian and I were holding hands, leaning against each other. Leo's face was pale as he stared at our intertwined hands. My face was burning, and I tried to pull my hand away, but Julian only held it tighter. Both sets of parents stared at us in shock. Some were happy, some were not. They knew Leo and I had broken up, and they had arranged this get-together to convince Leo to stop being childish and win me back. They never expected to walk in on this. My parents' eyes were practically glowing as they looked at us. They had never been particularly fond of Leo, but for the sake of the relationship between our two families, they were willing to give him one last chance. They never imagined I'd end up with Julian. In their eyes, Julian was the moon in the sky. Leo couldn't compare to him in any way. If I hadn't been so hung up on Leo before, they probably would have tried to set me up with Julian long ago. Now that they saw us together, they were ecstatic. But seeing the strained expressions on Mr. and Mrs. Harrison's faces, they had to force themselves not to smile. There was a well-known story about the Harrison family. Originally, Mr. Harrison had married into Mrs. Harrison's family, which was why their eldest son, Julian, had her last name, Cole. But as is often the case, the man who marries in eventually takes over the family business. After Julian's maternal grandparents passed away and with Mrs. Harrison being hopelessly in love, it only took a few years for Mr. Harrison to seize control of the family business and change its name. That's when Leo was born. As the son who shared his name, Leo received all of Mr. Harrison's affection, and Mrs. Harrison, who always followed her husband's lead, also favored her younger son. The couple gave all the best things to their younger son, leaving Julian with only neglect and indifference. They sent him abroad at a young age and made him fend for himself. Luckily, Julian was a fighter. Even without the Harrisons' support, he was able to build his own successful career. Only after Julian had made a name for himself did his parents' attitude toward him soften. They even started to play the part of a loving family, hoping he would help his younger brother, Leo, in the future. I couldn't help but squeeze Julian's hand. He squeezed back, silently telling me not to worry. We found a private room to sit down in. Everyone's expression was full of unspoken meaning. My parents eagerly peppered Julian with questions. Things like how long we'd been together and how we got together. Julian answered each question politely and assured them he would treat me well. Mr. and Mrs. Harrison's smiles, however, were a bit stiff. They turned to me and said, "Mia, dear, weren't you and Leo so close before? What happened? You know, it's normal for young couples to fight. You shouldn't make a rash decision out of anger. You might regret it." At those words, my parents exchanged a look. I was their only child, so there was no question of favoritism. But seeing Mr. and Mrs. Harrison so blatantly favor their younger son, their eyes filled with disapproval. I smiled. "Mr. and Mrs. Harrison, I'm very confident that my current choice is the right one. The past is in the past, and I don't like to look back." Julian looked at me, his eyes shining with emotion. Just then, Leo suddenly shot up from his seat and stormed out, slamming the door behind him with a loud bang. Now, it wasn't just Mr. and Mrs. Harrison, even my parents' faces turned grim. As we were leaving, they said to the Harrisons with a smile that didn't reach their eyes, "Since Mia is happy, and since it's a boy like Julian, we won't stand in their way." We got engaged. The day before the engagement, Leo called me, completely drunk. "Mia, I broke up with Sophie. I was only with her to make you jealous. Nothing ever happened between us. Please don't marry my brother, okay?" I know I was wrong. My face was blank. Julian was currently parading around in front of me in a low-cut, wine-red silk shirt. One moment, he'd bend down to pick something up, revealing the breathtaking curve of his waist. The next, he'd reach for a book, the fabric of his shirt straining against his chest, the contrast between the pale skin and the rich red making my head spin. Just then, the book in his hand accidentally fell right next to my hand. "Oh, I dropped it," Julian murmured. Then he propped his right hand on the bed to my left and reached for the book with his left, practically enveloping me in his arms. His warm breath ghosted across my neck, sending a shiver down my spine and raising goosebumps all over my body. Leo's voice on the phone suddenly paused for 2 seconds, then shot up in pitch. "Whose voice was that? Is that my brother? You're already living together? We were together for so long and you never even let me touch you, and you." With such a beautiful sight right in front of me, how could I possibly listen to Leo's whining? "Leo." I cut him off. "Do you still think you did nothing wrong?" He fell silent. Love is exclusive. When you have a girlfriend, staying away from other women is the bare minimum. Unfortunately, you couldn't even do that. And I hate people with no boundaries. After that, I couldn't be bothered to hear another word he had to say and hung up. Julian lowered his gaze and whispered in my ear, "Mia, I'm a virtuous man. I won't have ambiguous relationships with other women. Will you just have me, and no one else?" My eyes darkened. I playfully tilted Julian's chin up. "We'll see how you behave."